So, big question. Why did so many men volunteer to fight during World War One? So, World War One started in August. By the end of that year, 1914, 1 million men volunteered. Many more men than volunteered in 1915. Why? If you ask most young people now, they say they would not fight for their country. Of course, some would, but most say they would not. So, what was different then? Why did so many men agree to fight? Until 1916, when the government introduced conscription, which means forcing men to join the army, people volunteered, they enlisted. So, why did they do so? We can use the mnemonic, which are the letters RAP, RAP, to remember. Well, one reason is because of revenge. And this is mostly because at the start of the war, Germany invaded Belgium, because Belgium was a good way of getting into France. And what happened was that the British used propaganda. So they created information to try to encourage men to join up. And this information, this propaganda, suggested that the Germans had done some terrible things in Belgium, such as killing babies on their bayonets, which are the spears on the end of the weapons, such as hanging nuns to bells in churches. And as a result, many men felt that they needed to take revenge against the Germans because the Germans, of course, they sounded like absolute brutes. And it was important to kill them before they took over more of the world. Another reason, connected with this picture here, is to do with adventure. As we know, 1914, many young men were working in factories. Many were working in agriculture. And to be honest, life was fairly mundane, which means boring. And so this idea of being on an adventure was exciting, particularly early in the war, when people were told that the war would be over by Christmas, so it would only be going for a few months. People thought, how exciting. They'd probably not travelled abroad, chance to get to France or to Belgium, have a fight with the Germans, the evil Germans, and then come back for Christmas and return a hero. Of course, it didn't work out like that at all, but that's what many people thought. Finally, because of patriotism. Now, I think some people are patriotic now, so they have a love of their country. I guess if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have just had Brexit, where we've left Europe because people wanted to take more control for our own country. To be honest, I'm not sure I understand quite what that's all about, but obviously today, lots of people still are patriotic. But back in 1914, even more people had this deep love of their country. Why? Well, because Britain was incredibly powerful. We were a great power, controlled a quarter of the world, and so people thought they wanted to be part of a country that clearly they thought was better than all the other countries. Not true, but that's what we thought at the time. Also, because there was much more of a love of the monarch, of the king, than there is now. Some people quite like Queen Elizabeth II, but to be honest, not many people really love her or see her as someone that they would die for. During the period about 100 years ago, there was much more of a connection with the monarch in the sense that there's someone that you would want to die for. It would be an honour to fight for them. And we'll look next at what life was like in the trenches.